Good day. If you cannot tell, I am not having a good one. I have the plague, and I have drugged my butt out of bed so that I could bring you the news. The ATF just got their budget slashed, and we're going to talk about that after we hear a word from the sponsor. I started using XS back in my early 20s, like when I could actually see. I used them for the first time in a force-on-force class, and up to that point, to be completely honest, I really didn't get it. From that experience, I can definitively tell you that XS's big dot sight is the best sight for when you're shooting like this. Of course, they make regular sight profiles too, but the consistent attributes are a bright tritium vial surrounded by a photoluminescent insert that charges up with exposure to any light source. They also do everything from shotgun beads to AK post sights, ensuring that XS has a solution when you need the brightest sights in any light. We have covered the government shutdown that has been plaguing the news cycle recently, and also we have had a little bit of a debacle over the weekend related to E-forms. E-forms goes down for routine maintenance regularly because they have to move kilobytes of data around, and they can't get an API to do that for them, apparently. But regardless, it goes down regularly. Well, this one was unscheduled and lasted longer than it should, because usually it goes down on a regular basis. But this one was not one of them, and it was part of this whole budgetary concern, if you will. Having now shined the light on themselves, the ATF comes away with a negative 7% on their overall budget, which doesn't sound like a huge cut, but when you're talking about a budget the size of the ATF's, that's a pile of cash. That said, one of the concerns that routinely comes up whenever we talk about reducing funding at ATF is, they're just going to pull all the people who are processing NFA forms and reallocate them to other duties within the agency. Well, turns out they're not allowed to do that. In fact, the express directive in this thing is to improve NFA wait times, not expand NFA wait times. So it is my hope that when we have a simultaneous mandate from Congress to improve NFA times and a budget reduction, that means that they will implement some more technological changes at particularly, for instance, we saw the expansion of E-forms in recent years. To give you an idea of how absurd this situation currently is, let's say that you're in the market for a suppressor. You want to start the process, you walk into the shop and you start your paperwork. You know that you're in for a long, lengthy process, but before you ever started that, there was a Form 3 transfer that had to occur, which is between the previous holder of the device, usually the manufacturer or the distributor, and the retail dealer. And we joke that it's the Form 3 because it takes 3 minutes to fill out and 3 weeks to come back, which is absolutely absurd, because in order to make that transfer, a human has to go in and validate that there is indeed a serial number, that there is a manufacturer, and that there is a caliber and a model on that suppressor form, right? So 4 pieces of data. And then, in addition to that, there are 6 pieces of data. There is both people have an FFL, check mark. Both people have an SOT, check mark, and the expiration date has not happened yet. Why on earth does it take 3 weeks for something like this to happen? A computer should be able to do this in seconds. And for some reason, we have not implemented, well, we know why this technology has not been implemented into the process, but there is absolutely no reason that a Form 3 transfer should slow down the NFA process an additional 3 weeks, especially because those 6 pieces of data, the 3 that come from me, I cannot change. They're auto-populated. When you have an eForms account as an SOT, your stuff is automatically locked in. You can't change it. And the other guy can't change his either. The data about the actual device comes from a pick list. We have computers and machines that can unload entire container ships, physically unload them, and spatially locate them for the most efficient retrieval without a single human input. But the government can't move 15-digit numbers around a database without a human going in there and copy and pasting it. Now I am straying into tantrum territory, so we'll bring this back home. The balance here is that the Undetectable Firearms Act that we have talked about before and its absurdity are reauthorized in this. So this is an outdated piece of legislation that has never done anything and will never do anything that has to do with the amount of metal that has to be in a gun. It's absolutely absurd, and it is my opinion that it will be weaponized in the future to go after 3D printing individuals. If you would like to see my full video on the UFA and why it is entirely unnecessary and redundant, then I will have that video listed in all the relevant places for you to run down. That is the current skinny on the budget cuts at the ATF. Thank you for tuning into the VSO Gun Channel, and hopefully we'll see you on another one here pretty soon. And special thanks to Gun Owners of America for getting this information to me so I can do this video. I'm going to go back to bed.